Hi, it's Kim, and I'm participating in this month's Mixed Media Mayhem YouTube Hop, and this is the layout that we're lifting. So I'll walk you through my process video now. So I'm using the Vicky Booten Fernwood collection to do this layout, and I'm just showing you there that I'm actually going to put the photos on the left-hand side of the page, and I'm going to create some sun rays with this yellow pattern paper here. I'm just going to free cut them with my cutter, but I'm going to free cut the size of the rays, and then I'm going to use them on the right side of the page. So the inspiration layout actually used a photo which was cut up to form the rays, but I didn't want to do that. And then she had a cluster of embellishments down the left page. I am going to do the cluster of embellishments, but I'm going to integrate my photo in with the cluster of embellishments. So I'm just cutting these rays. Great way to use up this last bit of this beautiful bright yellow pattern paper, which I really liked. So I'm just working from one central point and then just cutting various widths of ray-shaped strips, and then I will use them to form the ray shape. And you'll see that once I lay them out, I actually use just a pair of scissors and freehand cut the lengths of the rays so that it works well with where I want to place them on the page. So I'm actually going to get rid of the very topmost and the bottommost ray because that shape didn't really work. And if you look at the inspiration layout, it wasn't a full half page of rays. So I am showing half there, but I'm actually going to move them up closer to each other. And I'm just looking at how that works, and I think that it works well. And I'm going to grab my scissors now and cut these rays down so that they're the right length. So I'm just chopping them off there, chopping this one off, and the last one. So then I have my rays, and I think that they work really well. And excuse my voice today. I've got a bit of a cold, and it's given me a rather croaky voice, so I'm sorry about that. But I'm really happy with how those rays look, just trimming some of them down a little bit more. And I think that you certainly get the vibe of the inspiration layout with those rays on that right-hand side. I realised that I had the background paper actually upside down because it probably wouldn't matter except for the fact that it's a ledger style paper in the back and there's actually a number in the top right-hand corner. Once again, I haven't cut the selvage strip off, and this is a common problem that I have on layouts that I wait till the end, and sometimes that is a significant problem, but I waited to the end on this one too. So I've got these two photos of my nieces enjoying noodles out at a restaurant, and I'm going to sit them next to each other at the junction of the rays. So the rays will point into the photos and really put the focus on them. And now I'm gathering together a range of embellishments from the Fernwood collection to give the same sort of effect that's in the inspiration layout, with a whole heap of embellishments layered up with words and frames and bits of note card paper, etc. And I'm going for that same effect with obviously different sorts of embellishments. I do have a camera, which the inspiration layout has as well, because her layout is about selfies. This layout is obviously not about selfies, but it's pictures of my nieces, and when you see the title that I've selected, it works really well. So I'm just going to put all of these various embellishments. Now, talking about the composition of this page, so most of the whole page is orientated towards putting the focus on the photos. So the rays coming into it and the embellishments are enhancing those photos. So it's all about drawing attention to them. And I will actually pop the photos up. So the composition is weighted heavily on the left-hand side, but the sun rays balance that, or the rays of the yellow paper balance that. And I am actually going to add more weight to those rays by putting the title on them, and I'm actually going to add an embellishment strip as well. So I often talk about, when I talk about composition, I talk about the weight of the various elements. So in this particular layout, you've got, as I said, very heavy on the left, so you need to balance that out on the right. So I'm still going through and selecting out various elements. So I've got a little clipboard, a library card, and some film strip at the top, which I think works well, and a sort of journaling card, which I'll leave for my sister to fill out when I give her this layout. And another index card that sits behind it and the camera. So that's forming the basis of those layered embellishments on the left-hand side. Now, because this is Mixed Media Mayhem, I'm going to add some mixed media to this. In the inspiration layout, she used a lot of rub-ons from 49 and Market, which I'm not going to use because I've used up all those particular rub-ons because I love them so much and I've used them on my 49 and Market DT layouts. But what I'm going to do here is add some watercolour work in the background with the latest Tim Holtz Distress Spray. And I'm just using the nozzle out of it and then adding water to it. And when you're looking closer at this particular paper, it has this bluish coloured watercolour splotches already on it. So I'm simply adding to that. And it's a very similar colour. So I think it's Distressed Mariner is the colour, the latest Tim Holtz colour, which I absolutely love. So it works really well with this paper. When you're drying wet media on pattern paper, it's good to dry from the front and the back. I don't often use mixed media on pattern papers because it does cause them to wrinkle, but this paper is quite heavy, so I've decided it could hold up to it. So I'm just drying that, as I said, dry front and dry back to make sure that the paper dries as flat as you can. And then I'm going to add some stamping to this. So I'm using a grid stamp with black ink and I'm just stamping off the first generation onto that scrap paper and then stamping second and third generations onto the layout in patches, just so that there's some interest. This is mimicking the rub-on that's in the inspiration layout. There were some grid designs in that, and I have a grid stamp, so I thought that worked really well. And then I have a dotty stamp and I'm going to add some dots in the black ink in the same sort of places as that grid. So it's just adding some textural elements to the background. So once all the bits are on, you won't see huge amounts of it, but it'll just peep through. And I think that will work really well. And then I'm just making sure that ink's dry because I'm going to splatter white acrylic gloss spray onto the background as the final layer in my mixed media. So I'm just tapping off because I want to get some fine dots of spray, of that gloss spray first, and then I will add some bigger splotches into the background. So I used a pen to tap it off to get the fine spray, and now I'm shaking the nozzle tube to get some bigger splotches in the background, and then again I'll use my heat gun and just dry that all off. So that's all dry now, and I'm ready to go with building my actual layout now. So I did mark some spots on the background where I was going to put things, but then ended up completely ignoring that and building the layout where I wanted to. But I remembered how it went together. So I've got this really cute strip sticker, and I thought it would look really nice along one of the sunray edges. And so I'm going to stick that down and then just trim off the bits that hang off the side of the ray. And I really do like the effect of that little sticker, which I think it says remember the memories or something similar to that. So it worked really well with the layout. And now I'm just going to use my wet glue. I use art glitter glue, and I am just going to stick all the rays down so that all of their points join at exactly the same spot. And as I mentioned before, I'm then going to have my photos at that junction point so that the rays are drawing attention to the photos. And I actually really, really like these sun rays, and it's something that I should do more often. That's why I like participating in these hops, because using somebody else's layout for inspiration really makes me do things that I wouldn't ordinarily do on a layout. So it gets me to try new techniques. So if you are stuck, it's always good to have a go at scrap lifting. You don't have to lift it exactly, but you can use it as inspiration, and it can give you a jumping off point, because mine in the end is similar but nowhere near the same as the inspiration layout. So I've got the various pieces that I know are going to form the basis of the embellishment clusters, and I'm just putting wet glue onto those, and then I'll stick them down. I really like how there's the various layers of the embellishments. I think it works really, really well with the photos, and really does enhance the photos without putting a photo mat directly behind the photos. So by using these larger embellishment pieces, they're effectively creating a type of mat behind the photos. So it helps the photos lift up off that bright green background. So now I squeezed my glue to stick my photos down, and the top popped off my glue, which doesn't happen very often. It's like a little silver fine liner on the top of the glue bottle. So me and glue, seriously, I'm a hot mess when it comes to glue. Luckily, it didn't spread all over the front of the photo, and luckily I was able to clean my fingers off without getting it everywhere. So that's always good, but it does dry clear and non-tacky, which is good. So this little phrase sticker says happiness is, so I've also popped that up on some foam. And there's a little flower paper clip which I've used in that top cluster, which is just above the title, not the title, just above that phrase of happiness is, and I really like how that works. And now I'm going to stick the title on. And the title actually says Life in Photos. And in the inspiration layout, the title is on the sun rays, at the junction of the sun rays curling around. So I'm going to do the same thing. So this title's like puffy, lightweight, puffy foam type stickers, and they bend easily, so you can curve them around. So I can curve this photos word so that it curves around to finish off that title. So it says Life in Photos, and I'm just sticking down the dots here, because you've got to have dots on your eyes. And I really like how that title looks. I just realised I've got the middle in one of my letters, so I'm just poking that out and then trying to pick it up. It was so hard to try and pick up. It drove me crazy. But here I am, fussing around trying to get that up. And yeah, it just, every time I tried to pick it up, it'd just stick harder. It was really annoying. Okay, so I really like that title, and I'm putting some gold arrows like there is in the inspiration layout. Now I'm just looking where I'm going to stick my camera, which is a chipboard piece. And I try it at the top, try it at the bottom, end up sticking it over near the title above that gold arrow. And I think it works really well there. Very happy with that. And I'm going to stick some more pieces at the top. So I've got some chipboard word strips, which I'm going to stick at the top, layering over the little clipboard and the film strip that I've got there. So I'm just hunting through to find the right words. This is what takes the most time, is finding the phrases that work most appropriately with your layout. So I'm just looking for various pieces there, because you'll see from the inspiration layout that she had lots of different little bits in that cluster of embellishment. So because I'm trying to achieve that same effect, I'm just looking for lots of different little bits in the sticker books and chipboard that's going to work to give that same sort of layered effect. So, excuse me, I've got some stickers here. So these are little pie chart stickers that are really cute in this Fernwood collection. I've decided I'm going to pop those up on some foam tape. And then there's some smaller versions of those in the chipboard stickers, which I also stick a few of those on as well. So I've got 3 of these bigger ones, a bluey coloured one, and then a couple of pinky orange coloured ones. And then I've got some small ones in, as I said, in the chipboard, and I'm just going to stick those down as well. I do use glue on my chipboard stickers because I find that they don't stick particularly well. I'm adding a few more chipboard pieces in. As I said, just trying to build up all those layers and get some real interest with all of the various embellishment pieces. You'll be able to see all of these in more detail in the close-up photos that come at the end of the video. So if you're wanting to see exactly what I've used and where I've used it, you'll be able to see that in the close-up photos. So I'm getting some gold puffy hearts, so they're on the same sheet. So I've got a blue tag that I've added there, which she has a tag as well in a similar spot there, and instead of the puffy hearts she's got chipboard hearts, so I've kept those very similar elements there. I've just tied some pink string to the top of that tag, and I've tied a knot in it, and I'm just attaching it up next to the photo so it looks like the tag's hanging down. And I think that I'm starting to get pretty close to the end of this. Oh, except for chopping off the selvage bit, because I always forget to chop off that selvage strip. Luckily, this layout doesn't have a huge amount of bulk in it, so off comes the selvage strip, and I believe that the layout is now completed. Thanks so much for joining me. If you like this video, I'd love it if you press like, and if you're not already a follower, please feel free to follow me, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you. Bye.